I think I always try to start by reminding all of us that life gives us no guarantees. The only guarantee that we have is that if we start, at least we are going to be able to finish. So let us start. May I take this moment to welcome you to this day, on this rainy day, to this venue. And may I first introduce the commission, and I'm going to do that right away. I first introduce on my left-hand side the commissioner, the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Mr. Glenn Mashinini. Chair. Thank you. May I introduce I've lost my commissioners. Still on my left-hand side and just behind me, the Vice Chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Ms. Janet Love. On the extreme left, on my left, your right, may I introduce Commissioner Musutu Miepe. May I also introduce Commissioner Daya Pillay, who is the judge amongst us, the commissioners. And may I introduce myself. I am Nomsama Sugu. I am one of the 5 commissioners of the Electoral Commission. And then on my right-hand side, allow me to introduce the Chief Electoral Officer of the Electoral Commission, Mr. Saima Mambulo. Thank you very much. With that, may I welcome all political parties, the representatives that are here in person. May I also welcome our audience that is joining us virtually. May I also welcome all of you that have taken the time to attend in person and have been brave enough to be here in person. I know that we are down to lockdown level 1. However, the virus is still with us. So as you sit where you are sitting, I'm going to ask you to keep your masks on as often as possible, unless, of course, you want to have a drink. Please make sure that your mask covers your nose and your mouth. With those remarks, I am going to ask us to please stand so that we can observe the necessary decorum as we sing South Africa's prayer, the national anthem. Can you all please all rise? Can you start the national anthem, please?
Oh
Thank you very much. Please remain standing. Can you please observe a moment of silence? I wish to dedicate this moment of silence to all those that we have lost to the COVID-19 virus. Thank you. Thank you very much. You may take a seat. At this moment, I'd like to invite the Chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Mr. Glenn Mashinini, to please make his remarks. Chairperson.
Thank you. Thank you, Program Director, Dr. Masugu, fellow commissioners of the Electoral Commission, as already introduced, the Chief Electoral Officer, Mr. Mamabulo, and all the IEC electoral staff present here, members of our fourth estate, the media, and to all our fellow South Africans who are watching these proceedings on various online platforms and on television. Distinguished guests and ladies and gentlemen, and if one may start by pointing out that this is the first day since our Heritage Month. On the 24th of September 2021, we celebrated our National Heritage Day. And on this day, we celebrated our beautiful cultural diversity and everything that makes us unique as a nation. However, there can be no doubt, ladies and gentlemen, that our biggest heritage is democracy. The democracy that was born on the 27th of April, 1994. And this amazing heritage of our nation, our democracy, was bequeathed to us by a generation of selfless leaders and many ordinary South Africans who took up the cudgels for human rights for all of us as we are here and throughout our country today. It's indeed a very hard-earned gift born out of blood, sweat, tears, and immeasurable sacrifices that needs to be honored by all of us and to be protected to the best of our ability. And one of the best ways of doing this is to hold and participate in regular, free, and fair elections. And I stand here before you as a proud chair of an institution, the Independent Electoral Commission, that has delivered a consistent succession of free and fair local elections in the past 3 decades. If I'm not mistaken, I think it is 21 years since the first local government elections. And we all have witnessed that the quality of the elections delivered by the Electoral Commission of South Africa has helped to ensure a steady and a confident growth and strengthening of our democracy. Even under difficult circumstances that we face today that are brought on by the global health pandemic, COVID-19, the Electoral Commission is ready to deliver the 2021 local government elections with an unwavering consistency and commitment to our democracy. as well as ensuring that we deliver that with excellence. As our nation is battling with the devastation caused by the COVID-19 to our economy, to our lives, the Commission and its very committed staff members who, throughout the breadth of this country, we remain hard at work to ensure that these elections are delivered safely in fulfillment of our constitutional mandate. And the Commission has, in a short space of time, as we all know, the recent constitutional judgment, we conducted a voter registration weekend, which ushered in a new era of a high-tech electronic management of some of the business processes of the elections. This was marked by the introduction of the VMD, which is our voter management device, which is nothing short of a revolution in terms of electoral processes. And the VMD has increased the speed of processing applications, and approved applications are already have their addresses captured as we speak. Previously, this would have taken months to capture the addresses of the voters. And for us, this is a major milestone in terms of the management and improvement of the electoral business processes. And the applications also for the special votes has now opened, and we encourage as many voters as possible, not only the infirm, to apply for the special votes before the closing date of the 4th of October, which this will introduce the number of people going to voting station on the voting day. And we believe this, again, is one of the measures that will enhance our ability to depopulating of our voting stations on the election day, as this will mitigate having people overcrowding during the voting. Ladies and gentlemen, with freedom comes responsibilities. With rights comes responsibilities. The Constitution gives political parties and all our citizens in South Africa the freedom to contest elections for office as public representatives. However, this freedom, attractive as it is, it comes with great responsibilities. Our founding fathers and mothers of our nation thought about this and made sure that the responsibilities of political parties and all citizens are recorded in various statutes to direct our conduct, so that this is attuned and compatible to the plurality of opinion and existence as a democratic and a constitutional democratic nation. This ceremony today, as we are gathered here, is important for our democracy itself, of which it provides us with credible elections, and it is important we know that those elections should be what you call irrefutable. And today is important to us, and the leaders of the various political parties that are here with us today, who have been able to join us, and the parties that are represented in our National Party Liaison Committee. Then these leaders will stand before the nation and publicly pledge to abide by the Electoral Code of Conduct. And this Code of Conduct provides the parameters of the conduct which is consistent with the vision of our democratic forebears, who conceptualize a democratic society at peace with itself and indeed all its constituent elements. The Code of Conduct is thus our statutory instrument for realization of a free and fair election. It requires a deep sense of political leadership because its observance speaks to who are as Democrat, but it also speaks to who we are as individually and collectively as protagonists of an orderly conduct of our public affairs. And as leaders here represented, we should not fail our fellow compatriots. On the contrary, we should be the torchbearers leading the country to a vision of a continuing peace and tranquility since the advent of our democracy. Overall, ladies and gentlemen, we are talking these coming elections that there are 320 or so political parties that are contesting these elections, and the majority of whom are, of course, not present here. They will be signing and committing to the Code of Conduct similar to this gathering in our respective provinces. And so in order for the contest election of our prescripts demand that all political parties and candidates should abide by the code, whether you are present or you are not. And the Electoral Code of Conduct, the salient aspect of that code include the following, and if I may be allowed to indulge so that it is also well understood by the members of the public. The conduct includes the following: that they taking a reasonable steps to ensure that the party, its candidates and office bearers comply with the code. Making a public commitment that everyone has a right to freely express their political beliefs and opinions, to challenge and debate the political beliefs and opinion of others, to canvass support for a party or a candidate, to hold public meetings, to lawfully elect banners, billboards, placards, and posters, as well as every party and every candidate must liaise with other parties and candidates and endeavor to ensure that they do not call public meetings, march, demonstrations, or any political events at the same time and place as that called by another party. And every party must recognize the authority of the Commission in the conduct of elections. Ladies and gentlemen, the responsibilities of the political parties, agents and candidates also goes beyond abiding by the code. Political parties must also let the public know about the code, promote the purpose of the code, and support efforts to educate the voters. Furthermore, there's also prohibited conduct that apply to all of us as members of the public and the voters, which is that the following conduct is prohibited under our code: using language which provokes violence, intimidation of candidates or voters, and may I add also including our presiding officers, publishing false information about other candidates of parties, plagiarizing any other party's symbols, name, or acronyms, offering any inducement or reward to person to vote for a party, destroying, removing, or defacing posters of other parties, carrying arms or weapons at political meetings, marches, or rallies, bribing voters to vote or not to vote, and generally abusing a position of power, privilege, or influence to influence the outcomes of an election. And the Electoral Court has the jurisdiction in respect of all electoral disputes and complaints about infringement of the court. Any member of the public or political party has a right to approach this court directly to report allegations of violation of the code supported by the necessary evidence. And cases where criminality is involved, such as defacing or damage to property, should also be reported to the South African police. And we hope also they will respond and act swiftly in that regard. We are also pleased to announce that following the global rise in disinformation, especially through the digital platforms and its potential impact on election, the Electoral Commission is once again making available an innovative online reporting platform for citizens to report instances of alleged digital disinformation during the 2021 municipal elections. And the digital platform is intended for complaints related to only social media and is not to replace existing channels and processes for investigating alleged breaches of the Code of Conduct. And developed in conjunction with Media Monitoring Africa, a non-governmental organization focused on promoting independent, accurate, and impartial reporting on election, the platform will provide for the online submission and tracking of complaints relating to disinformation encountered on social media platforms. And this platform will be advertised and is available for us to then contact under the website, the Real 411, www.real411.org. And I can see that the internet slang, this is an internet slang for those who are hip on social media. And ladies and gentlemen, let me state quite categorically that we as the Commission, we are also surging ahead with our preparations for the upcoming elections. The Chief Electoral Officer has now certified the voters' roll on the 26th of September, and our voters' roll contains the names of 26.2 million voters, of which 55% are female. And interestingly, Gauteng province has the biggest representation on the voters' roll at about 6.1 million voters. And second is the KwaZulu-Natal with 5.4 million voters. And the biggest age cohort on the voters' roll is the age group of 30 to 39, sitting at 6.7 million, representing almost 25% of the voters. And the 26.6 million registered voters stand, if we look at it, is 67.9% of the estimated voting age population of 38 million. And in terms of registration coverage, the Eastern Cape province has the highest coverage at 79.9% of estimated voting age population. And the second comes KwaZulu-Natal at 75.8%, and in third position is the Free State at 75.3%. As you can see, ladies and gentlemen, back in the days of the trains between Naledi and Johannesburg, we would be saying 9427 is on the way, which is what I believe right now, that the election train is well in full speed, and the Commission has certified and published list of candidates contesting these elections on Wednesday, 29th of September. And in these elections, we are breaking records in terms of candidature. The total is 99,116 candidates were nominated to contest these elections. 63,409 were ward candidates, and 35,707 of those were the PR candidates. And there are 1,718 independent candidates contesting these elections. Overall, the 320 or so unique parties contesting these elections this coming round. And the Commission has received a total of 314,392 applications already for special votes, and 180,197 voting station visits, and 93,779 home visits have now been approved by the Commission. A total application of 3,011 applications have been declined. A further 37,405 is pending consideration. Ladies and gentlemen, as we can say now, it is in the hands of all the participants in the important election to ensure that the elections are held in an exciting, exuberant, but peaceful condition. It is in the hands of the political parties to uphold and defend the code that we are to make a pledge. And indeed, it is in the hands of our partners in the civil society, including the NGOs, the faith-based organization, the work of our traditional leaders and institutions, to work in partnership with the Commission on the ground and in our communities to help promote tolerance, peace, and allow campaigning to proceed unhindered. And indeed, it is in the hands of the media, our fourth estate, to promote an understanding and a knowledge of the code among all the voters and the contestants, as well as to expose any violation or transgressions of the code. And it is in the hands of all the South Africans, our fellow compatriots, to conduct themselves in a manner befitting and supporting our young, vibrant, and rights and democracy. Democracy. I am confident that the political parties will declare that they are also ready for an exciting political contest played by the rules. I'm also confident that if asked, the voters who responded graciously to our calls to register will also declare the same. So we are all ready. South Africa is ready. The Commission applauds South Africans for having observed the COVID-19 rules and regulations and the protocols during the registration weekend, and reminds everyone that the rules will be in place at every one of the 23,151 voting stations across the country. And I think the following protocols will apply at our voting stations. Mask must be worn at all times. Social distance of 1.5 meters would be enforced. Voters must sanitize on entry at the voting station. And we plead with South Africans to cooperate with the Commission's officials at the voting station. Our new technology will ensure that the voters spend as little time as possible in the voting station. South Africa, let's go out. Let's go and vote. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. If I may be so bold to underscore the reason we are here today, the Electoral Code of Conduct, ladies and gentlemen, is not just a code of conduct that belongs to the IEC, to the Electoral Commission. It is yours. Why is it yours? It is yours because it forms part of the architecture on which rests election management. So as we stand here today, we recognize that we have an instrument, a set of rules that contestants have to abide by. The Electoral Code of Conduct is supported by prohibited conduct. All of these are in your laws as South Africans. Let us not give the impression that these instruments are the instruments of the Electoral Commission. The Electoral Commission only administers your law. And having said that, may I please invite Judge Pillay to read the Code of Conduct. Not because the chairperson has not alluded to it, but because I think it does deserve particular mention. Judge Pillay, and as she does that, when she finishes, she will sit on my right-hand side, your left, on the table where political parties, after having made their pledge, will then go and append their signature as a symbol of their commitment to the code. Those that are here will do so. As the chairperson has said, those that are not here are equally bound by the same code. Judge Pillay, I invite you.
I got it. It's fine. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Masuku. Leaders of political parties, my colleagues in the IEC, members of the media, and those who are joining us virtually, ladies and gentlemen, this is the pledge that political parties present here and beyond will be signing and committing to today. So it is my singular privilege and responsibility to read the pledge out so that all of us know what they are committing to. We accept, this is what they'll say, we accept that the elections require an environment where there is a free political activity, where all political parties are able to canvass support without fear or hindrance. We recognize that democracy development in our country partly depends on the ability of voters to hear different political opinions and thus enable citizens to exercise the franchise on an informed basis. We note that free and fair elections is the only legitimate basis on which the authority to govern is derived. We acknowledge that the Electoral Commission is mandated to ensure free and fair elections of legislative bodies. We further acknowledge that political parties and candidates participating in the 2021 municipal elections are obliged to observe all provisions of the Electoral Code of Conduct, which is binding on those participating parties, candidates, members, and supporters. Statement of commitment that the parties make, the political parties gathered here on 1 October 2021 in Nazareth, Gauteng, commit themselves to uphold the underlying values and conduct required by the Electoral Code of Conduct and to which they hereby pledge to adhere. They further pledge to lead their party in a manner that will reinforce a culture of tolerance towards all other parties contesting elections, to effectively counsel and advise all candidates on their party lists so that each candidate will in turn propagate a message of maximum tolerance, to publicly promote the eradication of no-go areas for the political campaign by political parties, to desist from using speech or from participating in actions which will have the effect of provoking either party supporters or members of the general public to commit acts of intolerance or take other inflammatory actions. That participating parties will work together to achieve the object and goals of the Code of Conduct. Thus, they will sign here at Nazareth, Gauteng, on 1 October 2021, committing themselves to local government elections 2021 on 1 November. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, my fellow commissioner. Thank you very much. Now comes the time when political parties that are sitting behind me, I'm going to call them by name in alphabetic order. I've tried to arrange them in alphabetic order since the list that I have is not arranged in that way. If I've got the order incorrect, we can talk about disclosure of who taught me the alphabet, and we can have words with them. Are you ready, George? Thank you very much. May I just speak to the people behind me for a moment? Political parties, you've got 2 minutes, okay? I'm going to call you up. You will come, you will sign the pledge first, and then you'll come to me to make your 2 minutes pledge. I will not use a timer because you're fabulous leaders. You will keep your time. Isn't that the case? Thank you very much. Okay, so I won't use a timer, or I will pretend not to use a timer. I think that's the better thing. Okay, 2 minutes? Excellent, okay. I will begin with Action SA, represented by Herman Mashaba. He is going to sign first, commit himself in writing. He will come here. He will make his 2 minutes statement.
Good morning, fellow South Africans. I stand here this morning as Herman Mashaba, President of Action SA, to affirm our commitment to playing our part in ensuring that South Africa, through the IEC and with the support of all parties present here today, will be able to hold free, fair and safe local government elections on the 1st of November 2021. We as Action SA are committed to working with the IEC to ensure that every eligible South African can exercise the constitutional right to vote for a party to them that is the chosen vehicle for realizing the highest dreams and aspirations. We hope that all parties represented here will equally affirm their commitment in order to reinstill South Africa's faith in the democratic system that binds all of us. This moment is not just about the election, it is an opportunity to look forward. Promises will be made to the electorate in order for us to be able to keep South Africa's faith in our constitutional democracy once the results of these elections are declared. Each of us, successful parties, will have to ensure that we deliver on these promises. We as Action SA commit ourselves, once we are in government, to professionalizing the public service, providing resident-centric service delivery, delivering quality services to all South Africans can enjoy, as well supporting the work of state institutions, supporting democracy. And we challenge all parties to do the same. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ndati Mashaba. I then call upon the representative of Al Jamaa, represented by Hanif Hendricks. Please sign and then come here to make your statement.
Assalamu alaikum, bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Al Jamaa will sign the Code of Conduct before us and pledge compliance It is a great pleasure for us to do so. Political parties are formed in churches, mosques, and boardrooms. The boardrooms influence the outcome of elections, harming our democracy. Places of worship promote our democracy. Captains of industry and commerce, says Al-Jamaa, no longer put money in the kitty to be used for campaigning on an equitable basis. Free and fair elections is needed, says Al-Jamaa, as voters need an opportunity, for example, not to vote for governing opposition parties that do not want the adhan to be heard, to call Muslims to pray 5 times a day, the horn of David to inspire, the tolling of bells to call people to church, and the chanting of temples to inspire like it has been done for centuries. And they do not explicitly define as not being noise. If not, courts will rule it as noise because of the decibels. Al-Jamaa says free and fair elections must be encouraged, so there is no need to call for a Cape exit now embraced by more opposition parties in defiance of the Constitution and the liberation struggle. We hope the IEC will look at the posters to see if it's compliant. Al-Jamaa candidates contesting 5,000 voting stations will honor this pledge. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. May I please welcome the representative of the African Christian Democratic Party, ACDP, Reverend Kenneth Mishwe. It's Wayne Thring, representing the ACDP. He is the deputy of the party.
Fellow South Africans, all protocol observed, beyond the shadow of a doubt, the upcoming local government elections will serve as a watershed moment for our nation, citizens, and communities. This is because local government, which is at the coalface of service delivery, is in a state of disrepair, dysfunction, with service delivery in the main non-existent, with many of our municipalities, our people having to contend with raw sewage in the streets, uncollected refuse, dirt bags undelivered, roads and pavements filled with potholes, faulty building systems, and irregular water and electricity supply, to mention a few. The ACDP is aware that the mission of the IEC is to ensure that elections are free and fair, while involving the participation of citizens, political parties, and civil society with the goal of deepening electoral democracy. It is the view of the ACDP that elections will not be considered free and fair when, after tallying the ballots is done, the results are nailed to the door of voting stations, but when those ballot boxes leave for the IEC depots for capturing, there is no independent monitoring agents to vet the capturing process. This must change. The ACDP wishes to, if the IEC wishes to fulfill its mandate, ensuring that indeed elections are free and fair, then implement the proposals of the ACDP, which will ensure that at your data capturing depots, party agents will be present to monitor this process. The ACDP, as the 6th largest party of the country, stands ready to contest these elections in all 9 provinces. Not only will we be contesting 9 provinces, but all 8 metros. We stand ready to contest these elections in more than 50% of our 278 municipalities. We will field 144 of the candidates in 145 of the 278 municipalities. As one of the fastest growing parties in the country, we stand ready to contest 67% of all wards, or some 3,007 of the 4,464 wards. Our candidates, applying the Jethro principle, are candidates that are able, candidates that are trustworthy, known servant leaders, candidates who fear God, because if you cannot fear God, how can you fear the systems of man such as the MFMA, Supply Chain Management Act, Systems and Structures Act, which govern our municipalities? Our candidates will hate dishonest gain and will not be caught with their hands in the cookie jar, feeding the narrative of the politics of the stomach. In signing this code of conduct, these are the servant leaders the ACDP presents to the voters of South Africa. Servant leaders who will fight to defend your liberty, your constitutional right to bodily integrity, and other inalienable rights as freedoms as enshrined in our Constitution. Thank you.
Thank you very much. May I please invite the leader, the representative of the African Independent Congress, the AIC. The representative that I have on the list is Mr. Mandlenkosi Galo.
Honorable Chairperson of the Independent Electoral Commission, commissioners, leaders of political parties, ladies and gentlemen, it is a great honor to sign this pledge committing the African Independent Congress to upholding the Independent Electoral Commission's Electoral Code of Conduct. The Code of Conduct commits every party to promoting political tolerance, respect for the right to express divergent political ideas, freedom of association, and freedom of expression. It is a code of conduct that the African Independent Congress takes very seriously. In a constitutional democracy, voters have the right to hear different policy positions and opinions before they make a choice and cast their ballot. For voters to be fully informed, they deserve open to access to party commitments and campaigns through the media and direct engagement with the party candidates. Our democracy can only be matured if voters also take their responsibility seriously to inform themselves of the challenges they are facing. This means that voters must go and must not vote for food parcels. Political parties have a duty to stick to the issues affecting the people. The African Independent Congress is certainly committed to making the issues the issue. Loyalty to our constitutional democracy is more important than loyalty to narrow party interests. Let's put people first and be the loyal servants of the people. I thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. May I please invite the representative of the African National Congress. The representative I have here is Mr. Paul Mashatile. If you can please append your signature and then come and make your statement, please.
Thank you very much, Program Director. Greetings to all commissioners, Chief Electoral Officer, leaders of all political parties. We in the African National Congress value and appreciate our hard-won democratic right to vote for any party of our choice in a free and fair election without violence and intimidation. The ANC was at the forefront of the struggle to bring democracy to our country, and we have to continue to defend and protect it. Our democracy is held up to the world as a shining example of how adversaries can move from conflict to peaceful coexistence through the power of the ballot. In all our elections since 1994, the results were accepted by all parties as free and fair. This is a massive achievement, and the people of South Africa, the IEC, and all parties deserve credit for it. When we win an election, we want to know that we have earned that victory on the basis of an informed and free choice by the people of South Africa. When we lose, as we have done in provincial and a number of local elections, we also want to know that we can trust the results and respect them as the choice of the people. We take the Electoral Code of Conduct very seriously, and we train all our volunteers, candidates, and leaders to understand the electoral laws and the Code of Conduct. Our policy is to hand all criminal matters to the police and to assist the SAPS and the IEC whenever we can. When disputes are of a minor nature, we work with all other political parties to resolve them through conciliation. And we work very actively in the party liaison committees down to the municipal level. We make it crystal clear that the ANC will not tolerate any breaches to the code, and that any ANC member that contravenes the provisions will be dealt with by both the criminal justice system and the ANC disciplinary processes. In South Africa, we can proudly say that violence is not characteristic of our democratic elections. We believe that the biggest threat to our democracy is the spreading of fake news about opponents. Our campaign teams have strict instructions to avoid spreading fake news about other parties and candidates, and we challenge other parties to commit to this as well. We owe it to those who fought for our freedom to run an honest campaign and to win the votes of our people on facts and not lies. We wish the IEC and our opponents well in this campaign and trust that we will all be free to reach every voter and that all parties will commit to fair campaigning. Thank you very much. Ken Sainko.
Thank you very much. May I please invite the representative of the African Transformation Movement, the ATM. The representative I have here is Vuyolwethu Zungula. Please sign and come and make your statement.
Thank you very much, Program Director. Good morning, everybody. I'm not Vuyolwethu Zungula, my president, who is in Mthatha, who's preparing for the launch of the manifesto of the African Transformation Movement tomorrow. My name is Denny Tupane. I'm the Gauteng Provincial Chairperson of the ATM. As the African Transformation Movement, we would also like to pledge our commitment to the prescripts of this Code of Conduct, that we will abide by the framework as provided, and that we will also encourage our members, our candidates, and those who support us to make sure that these elections are free and fair, free of intimidation, free of violence, free of anything that is untoward from the constitutional values. As the ATM, we are a faith-based organization, cognizant of the fact that South Africa has the most unequal society in in the whole world. We are inspired partly by the erstwhile president of Haiti, Comrade Jean-Bertrand Aristide, who says, and I quote, "The world is like a table where 80% of the total population sits underneath the table and 20% of the total population sits around the table and enjoy the abundance of the resources that are available. Our work cannot be to replace the 20% with the 80%, but our work should be to make sure that we rearrange the sitting arrangement around the table so that everybody gets a seat around the table and share the spoils of the world resources," close quote. As a faith-based organization, we are sure that our candidates will discharge their mandate with aplomb, without fear of favor. This we know because we are not in anybody's pocket as a self-funding organization. We are there not to sing, to dance to anybody's tune, but to listen to the electorate that has elected us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. May I please invite the representative of the Congress of the People, Ntate Musiwa Likota. Please sign and come and make a statement, please. It's 2 minutes.
Fellow leaders and representatives of the political parties of our nation, I greet you this morning. It is with pleasure that I join with you on behalf of the Congress of the People to share with you the common commitment to upholding of the Code of Conduct and therefore ensuring that the democracy our country has ushered in will remain a shining example to nations of the world which aspire to those objectives which bind us together. We have had history in which we have made these pledges previously. We have collectively upheld those objectives we committed ourselves to. I want to assure you that the Congress of the People in these elections will continue to live up to its previous commitments. And I hope that all of us will do as we have done in the past. We must compete in the campaigns, but we must not use any methods which will threaten the peace and prosperity of our country. I thank you.
Thank you, Sisi. May I please invite the leader of the Democratic Alliance, Ntate John Steenhuisen. Please sign and come and make your statement. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Program Director, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. My fellow leaders from political parties, welcome to you all today. It's absolutely essential that the Independent Electoral Commission polices political parties' conduct. But its own conduct also needs policing to ensure that it remains the independent institution it must be for elections to be free and for elections to be fair. Now, we acknowledge that the IEC is under immense pressure to deliver to tight deadlines, and we appreciate the very hard work the IEC is doing to adhere to this tight timetable. But while we support the IEC in its work, let me be very clear that we will not hesitate to call the IEC out when it fails the independence test. Past generations, as Mr. Lekorte has said, of South Africans sacrificed greatly for the constitutional right of all South Africans to be able to vote and for free and fair elections. And this requires the IEC to ensure a level playing field for all campaigning. There can be no favorites. There needs to be one set of rules for all parties. And these rules are not just the Code of Conduct that we signed today, but also the lockdown restrictions and the entire South African legal framework. If the IEC favors some parties over others by allowing them to break these rules, the IEC is failing in its fundamental role to ensure free and fair elections. And indeed, some people and some parties are breaking the rules, and they're appearing to get away with it. In terms of the Party Political Funding Act, the IEC needs to be clear about which parties have refused to report on their large donations, as distinct from those parties which have no large donations to report. Furthermore, the Act needs to be amended to ensure that the IEC can audit parties. The EFF, who are noticeably absent this morning, are clearly spending far more money than they would be able to do without large donations. Yet they failed to disclose a single one of these donations. Their finances need to be audited. Party declarations cannot just be taken at face value. We've already seen during this campaign period that some parties are willing to break the law. 2 manifesto releases over the course of the last fortnight, including one by the EFF, were in breach of the lockdown regulations, which at the time limited gatherings to 500. What action is the IEC taking to protect the fairness of the election in this regard? Why must some parties adhere to regulations and other parties get away with it? The rule of law is a core operating principle for the DA, and we will continue to abide by all the laws of the land, including those set out in the Code of Conduct I've just signed. We call on the IEC to protect South Africa's constitutional democracy by ensuring that all other parties do so. It's time to put the I back into the IEC. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. I notice that the economic freedom fighters have not favored us with a representative, which buys me 2 minutes. I then call upon the representative of Good, led by Patricia de Lille. I assume that the representative will come and sign and then make a statement. Good, please.
Thank you, Program Director. Good morning, Chairperson, Commissioners, CEO, members of the representatives of political parties, the media, beloved South Africans. CEO, our newly registered political party, Good, has shown rapid growth in 2019 and 2020 by securing a seat in the November 2020 by-elections in the George. We are going to save South Africans, where we will be participating in the municipalities and contesting on these elections unnecessary water and electricity charges. We will save kids in Khayelitsha and Guguletu from playing next to the running sewage water. We want to deliver simple services like title deeds for Tani in the Tshwane municipality, Ward 60, who has been waiting and begging for years. Our good fight is to deliver basic services like stable supply of water and electricity for Babum Kize in the KZN, including but not limited to the Pimville residents, and also provide proper housing for the people of Deep Slot and Kimberley. We want to provide sober-minded leadership across the country. CEO, each and every vote that good will get will go to a good use. We pledge, as we take this good fight, street by street, corner by corner, city by city, that we as the good party will respect each and every process that leads to free and fair elections and the Code of Conduct. We will abide by all electoral laws governing these coming November 2021 elections. Our members will be disciplined as we make every hood good. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, sir. Could I invite the representative of Inkatha Freedom Party, Ubaba Valinkosini Hlabisa. Please sign, sir, and give your 2-minute statement. Thank you.
The program director, the chairperson of the Electoral Commission in South Africa, Mr. Glenn Mashinini, the chief electoral officer, Mr. Saim Mamabolo, vice chairperson and commissioners, colleagues in the political arena, and the people of South Africa who are viewing this signing ceremony. On behalf of Inkatha Freedom Party, its leaders, candidates, and members, I commit to uphold the spirit, principles, and provision of the Electoral Code of Conduct for 2021 local government elections. For 27 years, the IFP has championed free and fair elections as the foundations of our democracy. We are proud to have contested every election since 1994 at national, provincial, and local level. We entered the 2021 local government election in the same spirit of service to this great nation. We know that free and fair elections are only possible when every participant plays by the rules. We therefore call all South Africans to become activists in this campaign, holding their representatives accountable for campaigning peacefully, honestly, and fairly. Your vote is your most powerful tool to shape the future. Make sure that your vote is respected by rejecting the manipulation and intimidation. Let South Africans send a strong message in 2021 that our votes are not for sale. They must be earned through honesty and hard work. On November 1st, I urge all voters to flood the polling station. Your contribution is essential to the work that lies ahead as we rescue South Africa from the present crisis and build the country we all long to achieve. The IFP respects the role of the IEC. We support the work it is mandated to do to secure and protect genuine democracy. The IFP will therefore honor this pledge. Thank you.
Thank you very much. If I can please invite the leader of the National Freedom Party, the NFP. I believe I've got the party leader, Sheikh. Thank you.
Thank you, Program Director. Allow me to acknowledge the presence of the entire team led by the Chairperson and CEO of the IEC, Justice Dayapillai that's here, leaders of political parties, distinguished guests, and of course, our colleagues, the media. I want to first of all acknowledge and pay tribute to the late leader of the National Freedom Party, VZ Kamagwazam Sibi, who had called to rest a few weeks ago. May her soul rest in peace. I want to also say that I must agree with Honorable John Steenhuisen when he says you talk about a free, fair, credible, and transparent election. Of course, and let me give you one good ideal example. I think there's only 3 political parties that have actually responded in terms of the political party funding. But just one event of 2,000 people will cost you nothing less than 400 and 500,000 rand. So it clearly shows that the elections cannot be free, fair, and credible if some political parties are able to do what they want and the others not. Some are allowed to have 2,000 and 3,000 people at the event, others had to comply with 500 people. But this is a local government election. South Africa remains one of the most unequal societies in the world, almost 28 years into democracy. And my appeal to the people out there and fellow South Africans is very simple. Look deep inside political parties. Look for those public representatives that's got capacity, the integrity, the passion and commitment to serve you and make a difference. How you voice your choice is going to decide what happens for the future generations to come. So be very mindful of that, that amongst the politicians, there is a handful of statesmen and stateswomen. So when you look into these political parties, look for statesmen and stateswomen that can make a difference. As I stand right here, political parties will be promising you the world. Plenty food parcels are coming, T-shirts are coming, promises out of the world that are coming, people telling you everything is going to be free. If you get everything free in this country, then there's going to be no revenue. So I'm not sure where you're going to get it. So my plea to the people is this: look deep in, apply your minds to what you're hearing, because these promises are just promises that are being made. Right now, political parties will be making deals that today you vote for me, give me the funding. When I'm in power, I'm going to give you those tenders. That corruption is going to continue. Remember, we're getting promises that are being made that public representatives, we are going to do a better job than we've done before. How are you going to do that? Because the corruption and the looting in this local government cost this country hundreds of billions of rand, and the very same people are going to remain in those positions. It's only the politicians that are going to come and go. So finally, I want to say the National Freedom Party will support the Code of Conduct of the IEC. We are committed and dedicated to ensure that it's going to be a free and fair and credible election. However, we want to urge our people out there, if you don't make the right choices today, don't come back and complain tomorrow, because what you do is going to impact in the generations to come. I thank you all.
Thank you very much, sir. May I please invite the representative of the Pan-African Congress of Azania, the PAC. The leader that I have is Mzwanele Nyon. So please sign, sir, and come and make your 2-minute statement.
Greetings to everyone. Pan-Africanist Congress of Azania shall abide by the code and we are committed to free and fair elections. I thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay. May I please invite the representative of the United Democratic Party, the UDM, Men on Danger. Thank you. Please sign, Sissy, and then come and make your statement.
Thank you, Program Director. Greetings to the Chairperson of the Commission and all Commissioners, the CEO, leaders of various political parties, and fellow South Africans. On behalf of United Democratic Movement, I hereby pledge to abide by the Code of Conduct as stipulated and read here this morning. I would like to commit that the UDM is committed to work in peace and harmony with all other political parties during these elections to ensure free and fair elections. Program Director, let me at this juncture register the UDM's concern on the emerging violence and intolerance on the ground. This is based on the incident that happened 2 weeks ago in Ward 6 in Johannesburg, in one of the informal settlements, where 2 homes were burnt to ashes. So far, no one is arrested. We are appealing to the SEPs to ensure that the environment that we are working on is conducive and will ensure that the elections are free and fair. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Men on Danger. May I invite the leader of Vryheids Front Plus, that is the Freedom Front Plus. The representative that I have here is Dr. Pieter Mulder. Please sign, sir, and make your statement. Thank you.
Thank you, Program Director. It seems you've kept the best for last. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to start to say that, yes, the Code of Conduct is here for political parties and their leaders to sign a pledge to say that they will adhere to that. But I also want to say that the Code of Conduct is a partnership between the political parties and the Electoral Commission. Why do I say that? Yes, political parties must see to it that their supporters adhere to the code, but then there's also an obligation on the Electoral Commission as a Chapter 9 institution to protect those values. And if there is a contravention, then they must act, because there's another virus in South Africa, and that is impunity. If you do not ensure that there are consequences, then you draw a line right through the Code of Conduct. For the Freedom Front Plus and myself, the Code of Conduct symbolizes respect. Respect for yourself, for your party, but also respect towards other political parties. Respect for different views, specifically when it comes to politics. And if we have respect for each other, then we will comply to the Code of Conduct. En ek doen 'n beroep op die kiesers van Suid-Afrika dat die gedragskode is ook om u te beskerm. Dit is 'n maatstaf vir u as 'n kiezer
om te kyk of 'n politieke party wel die ordentlikheid het om respek te toon, nie net teenoor homself nie, maar ook teenoor u as kiesers. Die Vryheidsfront Plus is 'n waardegedrewe politieke party, waarvan een van die belangrike waardes respek is. I thank you.
Thank you very much to the representatives of political parties. Thank you for the words that you shared with us, and for the generosity of those pledges that you have made. At this point in time, I'd like to thank Judge Pillay. We have signed the pledge, and we come now to the next part of this meeting. You see there is a bowl on my right-hand side, on your left. If you are virtual, you have the beauty of having a 360 view. In that bowl, there's the name of all political parties that are contesting these elections. In order for us to arrange those political parties in a manner that is not going to be seen as favoring one over the other, when you're an election management body, that is always a risk. So what we're going to do now, I am going to invite amongst the members of the media. I know that I am placing them in an invidious position, since like the electoral management body, they also have to be non-partisan. But may I have a volunteer from the fourth estate to please help me do the draw. I'm not picking anyone. There's a hand. Is there a hand? Come quickly. There we go. In the interest of fairness, I'd like to remind you that in 2019, it was a girl. So this time it is a boy. See, can't say I'm not fair. So, sir, here is the bowl. I'd like you to put your hand in it. And you're going to mix. And mix some more. And mix some more. And mix some more. Ooh, not good. Pick it up. Make sure that when that returns, it's one ball and not two. Thank you. Keep mixing. Don't throw any out. Okay. Keep mixing. Here we go. And then you're going to pick one. Thank you. And you're going to read it to me. Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. Whilst Kate gives that to our people at the back, the back room, let me explain what is going on here. The Electoral Commission has to produce 4,500 permutations of the voters' roll. No. You see, let me give it a go. The Electoral Commission has to produce a total of 4,500 permutations of the ballot paper. In order to do that, through this draw, we pick the party that is going to be number one on the list. Okay? And whilst we're here, we will not be able to beam every permutation. So what is going on right now is that the back room is going to simulate those ballot papers, and they will beam them behind me so that we can see what it is going to look like. What happens is that everywhere where the political party is contesting it will appear first on the ballot paper. And it comes to me. Ladies and gentlemen, the draw has been won by a political party that is called Ingubo Yeskhetu Party. Let me say that again. Ingubo Yeskhetu Party. Okay? It will be number 1 on the ballot paper, wherever it is contesting. Where it is not contesting, we will start from that Ingubo Yeskhetu, run it down until we get an order of the ballot paper. Are you ready, Melanie? There we go. There is the political party for all to see. Congratulating Ingubo Yeskhetu. Better, please. Thank you very much. Are we going to simulate the ballot paper? We are not. Thank you very much. That brings us to the end. I'm still holding the ball. Allow me to put it back, please. In order to conclude our program, I'd like to invite the Vice Chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Ms. Janet Love, to offer us the vote of thanks. Ms. J.
Thank you very much, Program Director, my fellow Commissioner. You have provided many acknowledgements, many recognitions of our guests, and so it is really possible for me to ask that all protocol has been observed. Good afternoon again, ladies and gentlemen who are present, both here with us as well as online. Every day, all of us are called upon to do something, no matter how small, to strengthen and to celebrate our democracy. On some special days, like today, we get to do something special for the same reasons, to celebrate that democracy. And the pledge by all who have entered as contestants in any election is not only a crucial undertaking for political parties, for individual candidates, and through them, for all their respective supporters. It is a pledge that is also important because it must reflect the quality of our democracy and our institutions, such as the Electoral Commission. And as I stand here today, let me again say to you, the Electoral Commission is pledged to continue its unblemished record of treating all contestants with impartiality, with dedication, with fairness, and with procedure. We continue to do that, we will continue to do that, and that's a pledge that we make to you to strive to protect and strengthen our democracy in greater service for accountability towards our people. We have made all the preparations and we are ready and committed to delivering free and fair municipal elections. Today, we congratulate the parties, especially those who are here today, for signing up to the rules of these 2021 local government elections, and we look forward to an exciting contest. These rules have been in place from the time that the proclamation came into effect. But the commitment that has been shown and the pledges that have been made here today and will be made in different parts of our countries, in our provinces, in our municipalities, are pledges that are really important when contestants take it upon themselves to not only abide by the rules, but to encourage others, in particular supporters, also to abide by the rules. We also hope that the rules, not just of the Code of Conduct, but of our election processes themselves, are something which all contestants make sure to be very familiar with. We have a very strong commitment to transparency in every single process of our elections. This includes a transparency to ensure that when we capture all of the results that have been observed at close quarters in each and every voting station, when we capture those results at the municipal level, it is already a practice and will continue to be a practice. Firstly, that all members of the municipal party liaison committees can observe, and we hope that that kind of vigilance continues. Secondly, we will continue to ensure that all results that are captured in the voting station, once captured at the municipal level and fed into the system, prior to being integrated into that system, are audited by independent auditors. This will continue. It is a practice that we believe is important to ensure the transparency. As our chairperson mentioned, we enter into an election which is complicated for many reasons. But one of the reasons that it is also complicated is the fact that we have a tendency at the moment to use innuendo and allegations that are presented without fact. And this gets us into a setup where we can very easily become the purveyors of fake news. We call upon all contestants, all political parties, to be very clear that this is not something that we can encourage. We, as the Electoral Commission, have responded to and will continue to respond to any complaint, let alone any objection that we will receive, but any complaint, in a manner that is procedural, that provides the right of reply, and where necessary, we proceed to ensure that any complaint that needs to be dealt with through the judicial processes will be dealt with in that way. We make that undertaking. Similarly, we wish to again state that for us, as we've stated before, the introduction by the National Legislature of the Political Party Funding Act, we believe is a vital tool in our democracy. It is something that is in its embryonic phases. We have only seen one report for 1 quarter of a full financial year. Nonetheless, the Electoral Commission is very mindful of the fact that we are proceeding through this particular first year of that act to process things in a manner that when we are seeing the next report, and then the final report for the first financial year, we will not be lacking in vigilance. There are some who wish that that act had been brought into a lot earlier so that its impact would be able to be monitored a lot more closely for these elections. This is not something that the Commission has had control over, but nonetheless, I say to you again, we are very committed to ensuring that it is adhered to. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Electoral Commission, I thank all of you, the honourable leaders of political parties present here today. I thank the Chairperson and my fellow Commissioners. I thank the Chief Electoral Officer, Saima Mabolo, and the leadership and staff of the Electoral Commission. I thank members of the media. I thank the South African voters, both present here today and millions who are watching on television and online. My fellow South Africans, many founding fathers and mothers of our democracy have left their footprints in the sand. Today, we are called upon to pick up this march, to leave our footprints along the path of building and entrenching the elders' dream of a great democracy. May our collective efforts ensure that the 1st of November 2021 sees millions of voters coming out to ensure that our local communities are well served, that our voters, that we make our government work for us. Our vote is our voice, and every voice counts. We take pride in the mark that we will make on these ballot papers on the 1st of November, so that when our children who are too young to ask say to us, what did we do? We can, with all honesty, quote the renowned words, the words of the renowned poet, South African poet, Don Matera, in saying, our footsteps have shaped the landscape, tamed the buffalo and the gemsbok. We rode the wind. We silenced the hurricane. Look at us. We have been here before. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Vice Chairperson. That brings us to the end of the program. Lunch has been served. You are going to go out through the doors, and I'm told you have to turn left. And but let me rather say, find the ushers, and they will take you to where the food is. Let me ask that we allow the Commission, with leaders of the political parties, to please exit the room, and then all of us will do the same in an orderly fashion, because remember, we have to observe social distancing. Thank you very much for being great audience, and I'll see you not too long.